to Talking TSM, the Game House's talk show about TSM's LCS team. I'm Robert Haynes, your host and your guide into the world of TSM. I will be honest, I normally record these a little bit earlier in the morning. Had to get the grass cut though, so it took me a little longer to get everything together. Which means I don't have as much time. I can't do like a super duper long show, but I can still do some great analysis as always. I just won't be able to maybe dive into some of the points I'd like to a little bit more. So apologies for that ahead of time. I mean, I still got some time, but regardless, I am kind of excited about this week. We talked about, last week on Monday, obviously. Go check out the Monday show if you haven't. I'm very excited about the opportunity for this weekend, for a multitude of different reasons. The first one is there's a little bit of breathing room. There's still not a lot. I'll go into that a little bit later, but there is a little bit. And I mean just like, I don't know. Like I said, I'll talk about it a little bit later. I also expect us to do a little bit of experimenting, which I will get into as well. Our 3 games this weekend for TSM are FlyQuest, Evil Geniuses, and Team Liquid. And so it's interesting because we get like Team Liquid and then I think C9 and then 100 Thieves, but we don't play any of the 3 of them in the same weekend. I'm sure that was intentional when they were making the schedule. Those are big games, and it seems like, there are other teams that may occasionally get it. Like I think C9 gets 100 Thieves this week. Here, actually, you know what? I'm not gonna talk out my butt. I'm gonna actually check on that. 1 second. Where we at? All right, so this week TL get Evil Geniuses, CLG, and TSM. 100 Thieves get Dignitas, C9, and Immortals, and then C9 get Golden Guardians, 100 Thieves, obviously, and CLG. So glad we're not playing CLG right now. By the way, whoo! I don't know what they're going to do, but TL, they have got a weekend ahead of them, and there's a lot going on. They might be pretty tired by the time they get to our game on Sunday. So cross your fingers, guys. Guys and gals and thems. Got to be as inclusive as possible. I love all of you dearly. And as always, appreciate you listening. But also, as always, you guys are probably like, Rob, shut the hell up. This is going to be a cursing episode. Shut the hell up. Get into it. Okay, I've heard you. I've heard the people. We're getting into it. So, we got FlyQuest. Friday FlyQuest. Ooh, interesting. And it is the last game of the day, which is a rarity for TSM, by the way. We are almost always in the first 3 games. So far this season, it feels like we've either been first, second, or third. Let me check. I'm gonna confirm this as well, so I don't just say things randomly. We were 4th game of the week on Sunday in week 1. We were 1st, 2nd, and then 3rd game of the week in week 2. We were the 3rd, and the 3rd game last week. We are the 5th game, the 4th game, and then the 3rd game this week. So, be ready to stay up a little bit later, which is good and bad. I think that the schedulers knew maybe that this weekend wouldn't be as tough as some of the other ones. I don't know, but either way, we get into FlyQuest. Last game of the day, which of course, it's like, we're 0-3 against this freaking team. We are a third of this freaking team's wins, and we're going to get them in our first game that's at the end of the day. Which people don't realize, like, we are creatures of habit. And getting into a rhythm is really important for a lot of people. And so getting into a rhythm and, being TSM and it being FlyQuest, which it would ultimately be hilarious unless if it kept us from being in first place. If we went 0-5 against them this split, God, I just can't imagine that being the case. But either way, the 3 keys of the game. Number 1. Their last win was against us, guys. Okay, and this is part of the point. Their last win was against us. They outdrafted the crap out of us. Like, big time. Big time outdraft. Okay? This was conveniently also the last game that PoE played on Lucian. They were able to get Kog'Maw and Lulu, which was the first time I think we had seen that. At least as a team. I don't know if it was first time in the LCS, but as our team, that was the first time we'd seen that. And then they had team run at us. They had Silas, they had Udyr, and they had, I believe it was Viego in the top lane. So they were just like, we're going to artillery the crap out of you. You're not going to be able to kill the Kog'Maw. We're going to have a Silas that is like the ultimate counter against TSM. I should look into that. I don't know that we have won a game against Silas in a very long time. If anybody out there is feeling, up to it and they want to go look that up, I fully support you, because there is a true possibility that we have lost almost every single game that we've played. I would almost just ban him at this point, just in the off chance that somebody plays him. But yeah, I say all of that, and yet my point is, no Lucian. First key of the game is just don't play Lucian. I honestly think that if Power of Evil has a different champion where he can have more of an impact in the game, I still think we win, because they're not a very good team right now. This is nothing on their individual players. I still fully believe that outside of maybe Dreams, they are one of the more talented individual teams. Like they really do. Like, I think Jose Dioto has a lot of talent. He hasn't been playing well, but whatever. I think Licorice is still very talented. I think Palafox is talented. I have always believed in Johnson. And it's not that Dreams is the problem necessarily. Imagine that team with like a Vulcan, a Sword Art, or a Core JJ or an Afromu on it. Just saying. If Dignitas are going to crap the bed, dude, then if I'm Flying Quest, I'm like, all right, what do you want for Afromu? What do you want? What do you want? Anyways, it's just he had Power of Evil had no impact in that game, and when your player who is kind of like supposed to be the impact guy outside of Spica, but the guy like the reliable impact, Spica still has his off games. Power of Evil is just that guy. He just makes plays. He does small things really, 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 really well. And so does Spica too. But it's just like, there's something about PoE, and when he plays Lucian and he can't have an impact on the game in a meaningful way, they just don't win. So let's just not play that. Let's not play anything like that, I should say. That should be key number 1. Not just Lucian, but something where he has low possibility of impact outside of killing. Haha. There you go. Second thing, Drake priority. Holy crap. Almost every game that FlyQuest have lost, they've had no concern for Drakes at all. And they went 0-3 last weekend, and I think they only were ahead maybe once with Drakes in a game. Seriously, I mean, it's so easy. I understand that Drakes aren't what they used to be, and especially if you get like Cloud Drake, depending on your team, it's maybe not as advantageous. And similarly with Mountain Drake. But still, I really personally, truly believe that Drake priority is such an underrated thing that's not talked about in terms of how much it can influence the flow of the game. And so I want to really emphasize that TSM can come back in games with that. And I want them to have that Drake priority in the off chance that FlyQuest are just beating them like a drum again. I mean, this is our Achilles heel, guys. This team. If we beat this team like we should, because they're not very good. Like Dignitas last split especially, I could totally accept it. I really could. I was like, you know what? At least Dignitas are a pretty good team when we were playing them. I didn't have much of a problem with it. FlyQuest are a bottom tier team. They are literally in last place if they don't beat us once. Okay, they're not a good team, and I believe truly, even again, if we beat them 2 out of 3 times in the first 3 times that we play them, which we should have, at least that, guys, we're 3 games up on 100 Thieves. Now every team's gonna drop games to teams randomly. I get it. I'm not just crapping on us to crap on us because you guys know how much I love our team. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. It's just it's very random. I mean, I don't really understand. Like 100 Thieves, their only negative scores are against good teams. Cloud9, their only negative scores are against good teams and Evil Geniuses, who are coin flip, and Cloud9's kind of been coin flip themselves. Team Liquid, the only teams that they have negatives against are 100 Thieves, Evil Geniuses, and TSM. For TSM, the only games they have negatives against. And I don't care. I hope you guys aren't sick of this, but it's just so interesting. We have such a wide array of data now with 45 games in a season and them all mattering. So to me, I think it's way more interesting in terms of statistically. But you look at this and it's like TSM are positive against every single team except Dignitas, and they're 0-3 against FlyQuest. If TSM take care of business against the bad teams, against the teams that they should, they possibly are. We're potentially so far ahead that we could have one of the worst weekends where we literally just try anything, and we're still at least tied for first at a minimum. So this is a game. Going into my third point here, we need to win this one for at least pride, if nothing else, because FlyQuest are a bottom 2, maybe at best a bottom 3 team. And there's just no reason we should lose to them. There's just none. Outside of some voodoo magic. Maybe at the beginning of the season, they sold their souls to the devil because they were like, hey, if we could just beat TSM, then maybe we have a chance. I mean, I at this point, I don't know. Like, clearly they made some sort of promise. They did something bad that got them into this position because now they're here and they're knocking on our doorstep, and this is a game that we really want to win for pride, if nothing else. So, yeah. Enough about FlyQuest. Here are the champions to watch, okay? Sejuani. They did play Sejuani, and they played it with Silas and Lee Sin. I could see that being a unbelievably lethal combo to us specifically. There's, with Sejuani and the melee stacking her passive, we suck against Silas. We're not great against Lee Sin, I would think there. I mean, we'd probably need to play something like a Gragas. And God knows we'd probably play AP. Which, oh God, I hope we don't. It's just that is a very good champion that I think is going to potentially pop out over the next couple weeks. And, we're seeing FlyQuest play it now, but I think other teams have probably taken notice of it by now, and they're like, oh, wait, maybe Sejuani is back. Either way, we just need to be careful of it. We need to be cognizant of it. If we see that they're going down that route, just get rid of it. I don't care if it's a waste of a ban. Like, this is not a team that we need to be like, oh, God, they got all these great champions. Like, bruh, like, no, we are better than them. Let's just not let them play to their strengths. That would definitely be one to me. Kog'Maw Lulu. We saw the power of it. We didn't even... Just the pressure of us having it, I think, is a lot. I think banning Lulu is probably a good idea. I don't think you need to ban Kog'Maw. I think Lulu by herself, I mean, even getting like a Jinx or something rolling is, advantageous to whoever uses it. So I would say just, let's get rid of the Lulu or let's play it. I don't care. I mean, I'd be fine with playing it. Hopefully in the bot lane, but, if Huni needs to play it, I know that he can. He's pretty good at it, so whatever. And then, Viego / Nocturne. They've been playing a lot of it. We do play a lot of Nocturne. I think Nocturne normally just gets banned against us, which is fine. But Viego is a champion that I'd either like to see us play or ban it. I mean, if they're going to play it, then, I don't like it into us. But there's just, those are Those are the champions I'm really looking at. I'm like, okay, like they're not your typical ones, by the way, either. I'm not, pulling out the Gwens or the LeBlancs or the Ezreals or whatever. Like no, I think that it'll be kind of some weird champions from them, maybe from us, and outside of really the Nocturne specifically and the Lulu, I there's just those are things that I really don't want to see us lose to again. So yeah, we head into game 3. Game 2, but we have our 3 keys of the game for Evil Geniuses. Now, this is another team that, they've been playing better. They were victims of CLG, but they have beaten C9 during their own 0-3 weekend, which was awesome. And, they were able to beat Golden Guardians, but they've just been playing better since the last time that we saw them, which was in week 1. They've had, let me see, they've gone 4-2 in their last 2 weekends, and I say we potentially be their loss. I'd love to see them beat TL. Great, Dignitas I think they beat. So, let's be that 2-1 for them. It's kind of a trend, and I think that they do beat TL because I'll talk about it in the next one when we talk about TL. 3 keys of the game. This one is a tale as old as time. We're gonna sing it. I don't care. True as it could be, Jizuke is so coin flippy. We just know it. Let's get him on an AD carry of some type in the mid lane, and let's play around his aggression. He's gonna take risks. He's gonna do things that might be, considered bad. He is still. I personally respect the crap out of Jizuke. I think he's a very fun, interesting player in the league. I think that if he ever leaves, I just think he's still very talented individually, and I think when he's able to play around his team, or his team's more likely to play around him, that he's very good. But it's just not hard. You can plan for him to make mistakes. He will, and yeah, he might start carrying a game. But if you can capitalize off of his mistakes, then you can play around his aggression and I think win games. So that's absolutely a key to the game to me, and I will probably say it as long as he is in the LCS. Whatever team he's on, unless if there are other keys that are more important. Second key, don't let Danny have the scaling option. He loves scaling, champions. He's playing the Jinxes and the Sennas, and I'm sure the Kog'Maws and all this other stuff. Like, if I'm TSM, I look at potentially a late or at least a for sure counter pick of AD carry against Danny. I say let them pick whatever one they want. I don't really care. But then pick to counter him and include in that another hyper carry. Again, a Jinx, a Kog'Maw, a Senna. We play all 3 of those. Clearly. Just do it. I don't care. Figure out a way to make it happen. If they go Senna first pick, cool beans. We'll take Kog'Lu. Okay? Or they ban Kog'Maw or something instead of Lulu. Lulu Jinx. Sounds good to me. Like, I don't really care what it is, but just make sure that either he doesn't have any scaling options, or you're going to force him into a bad matchup where he can't have the priority to be able to scale because we also scale alongside him. But that doesn't mean I want to see, like, a Tristana or a Kai'Sa or maybe even a Varus, to be honest. I mean, Varus can one-shot, but I just don't want to see us play something to where we can't scale alongside him and be able to match him. Because that's dangerous, and that's how we almost lost against them when we played them last. Which, by the way, this week I really went back and really studied more of the games that we had played against each of these teams ahead of time. Not just like what they did, which is normally what I do, but, especially now that we're kind of in this pattern of, we don't really get teams very often back-to-back weeks, if at all. So it's normally at least a week break. But I still want to, look at it, because even though the metas might be a little different, because like we're going to be on patch 11.13, which this is a heck of a patch. There's going to be some interesting things that come out. I don't even know if some of these picks are necessarily going to be as good, but based on what I've seen, what I've been hearing, like, these are kind of things I'm looking at. So just bear with me on that. The last thing is just look for Impact to make plays and then let Huni keep him busy instead. That was something that TSM did so freaking well last time. I mean, so unbelievably well. They just like Lost specifically, he was just like, all right, I'm going to just Buster shot the Kennen out of every single fight. And it was such a great disengage because sometimes he would put him right into the waiting arms of Mega Narhuni. And I'm really proud of them for recognizing that and not allowing it to happen. And I want to see them do it again. I mean, I don't want to see the Tristan necessarily depending on the matchup, but something like that to where you're not going to worry as much about what's happening with Impact. Like he seriously is going to try to make these huge plays. That is what he does. We saw it. He went 0-4 in lane, and then he came back. And I think he finished like 6-4 or something like that in a game last year or last split. And it was because he was able to just make plays in team fights. That's just what he does. So let's just not let him do it. That was my third key to the game. Oh, I didn't say this, by the way. I do think we're going to beat FlyQuest. That was my first win, by the way, of the weekend. For Evil Geniuses, we got Lucian is one that I think more we need to worry about with EG. I do think they might play it. If Jizuke's flipping heads on that day, it can definitely carry, but more than likely, hopefully against us, it won't. Akali, I just want to ban it, guys. Keep banning it. I don't care until we really figure out that we're able to play it, which we won't probably. Then just ban it. I think Akali's just permaban. Teams will play around it, whatever, but let's just permaban it. I don't want to deal with it. We should not want to deal with it. Let's just get rid of it. And then Senna and something to pair with Senna. I really like us with Senna. I know that Lost hasn't positioned well with her lately, but that being said, I still think that she's a really nice option. I think he can position well with her. And I believe that there are a lot more interesting options than Tahm Kench, especially with the new Tahm Kench that is coming out. And I want to see TSM play something different with her. I want to see maybe a Ziggs, maybe a Galio, a Set, hell, a Cho'Gath. We saw that in the LEC. I've mentioned it before. There are so many options to play with her. And I want to see them. I want to make it happen, and then it takes some of the pressure off of Lost in terms of being the only carry in some of those situations, or the main carry, and they jump onto him and kill him. Whatever, you got a Galio, you got a Ziggs, you got a Set, you got a whatever. Although the Set and the Galio would pair very nicely, just because it would also be able to protect her. I believe personally better than the Tahm Kench, but again, whatever. I just would like to see it. I think it'd be a really nice pick into EG. I think it scales infinitely, so that's obviously good. And I believe that it can be the hyper carry we want. And I believe it can also unlock Sword Art to be able to do what he does well, which is important. I want to talk well about Sword Art. I understand that I didn't as much on Monday, so I'm going to talk well about him right here, because I do believe he deserves it. I'm not one of those people who are like, oh, they spent all this money on him. Like, screw that. I don't care. He's here now. We apparently have, like, infinite money. We're, like, Monopoly money at this point, so, which I don't love, but I do and I don't. I'll explain that maybe in the off-season. But, yeah, I really like him, and I think that unlocking him has been a big problem for TSM. And so I think he makes bad mistakes because maybe he's frustrated because he doesn't have the playmaking ability. Like on Tahm Kench, you have no playmaking ability whatsoever. Even the Lulu, he has playmaking ability, but it was at least a return to form to a certain degree with him. So I want to see them, unlock, Sword Art, let him do his thing, and I think Senna's a great pairing to do it with, and I think EG's a good team to do it against. So I am going to pick us to win here again. I know I'm super obviously like TSM, but guys, we're playing really well. I see no reason why we should lose to these two teams. Now we head into the all-important, mostly important game against Team Liquid. I'll be honest with you guys. I think if we were 2-0 at this point, I believe that a loss to TL is not the biggest deal in the world, unless if it exposes something that will screw us later on. We are currently 3-0 against Team Liquid. So no matter what, even if we lose the next 2 games against them, we've got the tiebreaker. Yay! Good. Which, again, very happy about. But I also think this is an opportunity to put them into the ground. And here's why. I believe Alfari is coming back. I have a reason for that I'm not allowed to say on this podcast because it's technically early to be able to do it. I'm not like there's nothing that has come to me that has confirmed that Alfari is coming back. Nothing. There is something happening today though that makes me believe that TL are going to bring him back. There's also the fact that Sven and Alfari took a picture together where they were, like, hey, big news this weekend, big weekend or whatever. So that's good. But also, he was supposed to come back this weekend anyways, specifically on Sunday against us. They said he'd be out to the 27th. I think they'll probably just put him in tomorrow. So there's 3 different things that are making me believe that Alfari will be coming back. Oh, sorry. Here's a 4th one. Team Liquid have looked like trash. And it's not Jenkins' fault. But when you don't have a player like Alfari who you can lean on to hey, the rest of us are kind of playing like crap, guys. Okay. Well, then we can just, let Alfari carry us back into the game. Right? That hasn't been there for them. And I think it's part of the reason why they've been struggling. I would like to remind everybody, they're 2 games back. And they haven't looked particularly good this summer. They're 5-4. I was listening to the dive while I was cutting the grass today, as I normally do. And, they reminded us that Team Liquid's losses are against Cloud9, 100 Thieves, TSM, and Evil Geniuses. All 4 of these teams are playoff teams currently. Now, Dignitas, I believe, technically has the tiebreaker over Evil Geniuses right now, which is why they might be technically ahead of them, but they are at least tied for 5th currently, making Evil Geniuses a top team. So, TL just they've taken care of business against everybody else: Dignitas, Immortals, CLG, FlyQuest, and Gold Guardians. But they really need to start winning games against good, the good teams, the really good teams, I should say. So. Yeah, we head into this Sunday game where they will have also had the most grueling week of all of the top teams. By far, in my opinion. 100 Thieves have a bad Dignitas team unless they bring back Sligo and Darduck this week. Haven't seen anything that would make me believe that. So, Dig seemed to just be kind of, running it down mid, whatever. But they do also have C9 and Immortals. Immortals have looked better. Their only loss in their last 6 games. They went 3-0, 0-3, and then they went 2-1 last weekend. They clearly are a better team, so it's not going to be a super easy weekend in regards to that for them. But, TL get Evil Geniuses, then a surging CLG, a team that is clearly trying to make playoffs. They are doing everything in their power to position themselves to at least be in playoffs. And they have found a strategy that works for them. I'm sure TL will be able to try to exploit that, but even still, CLG are not a team you want to mess around with right now. And then they get us. So not only is it that Alfari is coming back, but they are also going to have had probably 2 pretty important games. And they could be 0-2 come Sunday. And whether Alfari comes back on Friday or whether he comes back against us on Sunday, he is probably going to be at least a little bit rusty. I doubt he's been practicing with the team during his time off. They've been I'm sure trying to, get get Jenkins in there, They've played 8 games without him. They have gone 5-3 during that time period. People do, I think, kind of forget the fact that we beat them with Alfari. Okay? Maybe there were things going on before then, but we still were able to beat them in a banger, obviously. But we still beat them while Alfari was still there. So what I'm gonna say is we need to take advantage of him, and I think that the way to beat TL right now is to pick a weak point and attack it over and over and over and over again. Okay. I think Alfari is gonna be that, and I think if you can tilt him like he's just coming back, just try to tilt the crap out of him. Get some early cheese kills. Mess with his mental. Like that's key number one for me. And then key number two kind of coincides with this. Just pull out a surprise pick from somewhere. I don't really care where, and throw them off. Like TL are the poster boy, or have been the poster boy of of consistency. Okay? And the thing is, the only way that changes is when people really like push them out of their comfort zone. And a lot of their losses this split have been to things that have pushed them out of their comfort zone, i.e. pulling out a Viego randomly in the very first game on a player, Power of Evil, who does not play those types of champions very often. And I know for a fact that threw them off. Because how could it not? Threw me off. I was like, oh, shit. All right, here we go. But I'm not going to just throw this out there into the ether and be like, oh, I'll pull out a surprise. I don't care what it is. Like, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to give you guys some potential options. Okay? I think Diana is a potential option. I don't know why she hasn't been played more anyways, but I think that she is definitely an option. And for us, and I think 100 Thieves exposed, TL with that pick. Closer looked awesome on it. Why not pull it out? I know it may not be as much of a surprise for them, but we don't play it. We have never shown an inclination to play that pick yet. Pull it out. Surprise them. Akali. I talk about week in and week out right now while she's in the meta, but neither Huni nor Power of Evil play her. TSM Legends, it was like, hey, we're talking about, champion pools with Power of Evil. I'd love to see an Akali. Doesn't have to be out of him, but just pull it out. Surprise the crap out of him. Oh my god, TSM can play Akali now? What? Oh, shit, we are in trouble. Then you have the Gwen. We haven't played that yet. She is super strong. And when I've been looking at these TL games, guys, they're not banning her. They are leaving her open. And if we have first pick, take her. What the heck? Why not? I don't know which side we're on yet. I don't think that's been determined 100% yet. At least according to the LoL fandom Gamepedia page. It looks like we are on blue side, which would give me, a feeling of, hey, we should try to first pick her. Maybe. I don't know. Something that you can definitely plan for, though. Viego again. We haven't played him again all split, but hey, if we saw something that we liked with him against Jensen, specifically in the mid lane, or even if we, want to play it with Huni. Oh, no, that's not true. Huni did play Viego. Forgot about that. But wasn't very good. Wasn't bad, but wasn't very good either. But just pull it out again if we want to. I don't know. Maybe put it on Speaker this time. Surprise them. Ziggs. Ziggs is apparently very much in the meta right now. Would love to see us pull it out in the bot lane. Senna Ziggs could be really good for a team like us. I would love to see, Sword Art talk about unlocking. You give him Ziggs, holy mother of God. That boy's going to do things. Okay? Love to see it. Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser hasn't been played much this split. I can tell you he is viable in the jungle right now. The biggest reason why he wasn't before, little tech thing for one of my favorite champions that I play a lot of, his auto attacks and his his abilities proc the little shredding metal that goes around him, and the biggest reason why he wasn't as good in the jungle is because initially it would only proc on the big jungle monsters. So for Raptors, it would only proc on the big one. For Gromp, it would only proc on the big one, which was a huge problem. For Wolves, only the big one. It did for Dragon and everything. Now it procs on literally any of them. Doesn't matter. So his clear has gotten 10 times better. You don't have to run him with Predator or anything. So, I mean, he can still come out and have impact in ganks and stuff. So, just he's there. I'm not saying that they have to pick him, but that would definitely surprise everybody. And he's viable. So, just saying. Could be used. My other one and my last one is one that we've already seen in the LCS and is clearly a nice counter to all of the different assassins is Lysandra. I think she's a fine pick. I think that PoE can definitely play her. I think she actually brings a lot into the game right now with all the dive that's going on. You know, whether she, uses her ult on herself or, somebody diving in, God forbid, an Akali we let through. She's got, the W stun that she can just walk right into the middle of the shroud. W, she's stunned for at least almost the full duration of the of it. It's also AoE, so it allows you to see her. You know where she's at. Everybody can jump on her. You can Q her. You can E her, whatever. Lysandra's able to get in and out of stuff. I think she's actually a really good pick, especially for assassin meta, so would love to see her played. Those are all the different champions, and I won't dive too much into champions to watch for because of this, so this is kind of like a champions to watch for part of it, but it all culminates into point 2 of pull out a surprise somewhere and use it. I like it. The last one, and this one might truly be more of a cop-out, because TL are just a good team in general, especially if Alfari's back, but I want to just see us play with confidence. And I know that sounds really dumb, but like in that C9 game, guys, we freaking played with confidence. We played with a gusto. We were like, this is what we're going to do. We are going to lay down the law, and we're going to be the ones who are going to win this game. Against TL, another great team. I want to just see us do that. We are better than them. I fully believe that, at least as of right now. Will that change? Maybe. I've always felt like we were better than them. I still don't really think that we lost or should have lost the way that we did. I think we just lost confidence. And I know that Alfari's great, and I know that Jensen's good, and Core JJ and Santorin and Tactical. Guys, they're not playing well. They are 5-4 for a reason. And we beat them 3 freaking times in the regular season. We are clearly at least as good as them, if not better than them. We lost in playoffs. I get it. Okay, I really do. But at least in best of ones, we are better than them. And we need to play like it. Pull out some cheese. Who cares? I want them to be scared to death every time that they play us. Guys, that kind of stuff matters. If we 5-0 them during the regular season, they can lean on playoffs all they want. All that matters is the summer. And if we have to play them in the summer, which by the way, if we get first seed going into the summer playoffs, guys, there's a chance we don't have to play them until we're already in Worlds, which would be ideal, because I do think we still match up better against C9. But I just want to see us play with confidence. Champions to watch for outside of all the ones I just mentioned. Diana, I really do. I want to emphasize this one. That's why I'm putting it twice. I think she could be great for us. And I think Spica could be very good on her. There's no inclination, nothing I've seen that's making me feel like he's going to play her necessarily. I don't have time to watch his streams and keep up with everything that he's doing right now. But I think there is the chance that we could see her come out. I also think Silas. Jensen will pull out Silas against us. And I stated this with FlyQuest. Guys, like Silas is kind of like an Achilles heel for us. I think the more the teams figure that out, the bigger issue it's going to be. So I even think last game I was talking with some of the guys on Talking TSM Discord, which you should join if you haven't yet. But I was talking to them, and we were trying to figure out like what could have C9 picked that would have been better than the Syndra. One of the options I came up with was Silas. Yeah, like we didn't have the best ults for him to steal, but just the impact that he has in the game, the mobility, the healing, the burst damage that he can bring out. He can obviously steal some pretty important ults against us, and I think it could have helped C9 win. Would they have won? I don't know. I think we kind of dominated from, the beginning of that game to the end. So I'm not too convinced that they could have won with it, but I think it would have given them a better chance than the way that Perks played Syndra. Just saying. So I am going to predict a 3-0 weekend for us again, though. I do think if we drop a game, I think it is going to be the TL, though. I could see them, if they gather momentum, they win against EG, they beat CLG, and they head into Sunday with momentum. Alfari's back. They're looking like they're back to normal. They're playing with, they're playing with confidence. I could see us dropping that game, but it's such a weird weekend because I am predicting a 3-0, but guys, there is a very real possibility that we go 0-3 because for some reason, again, FlyQuest just have voodoo magic against us. Evil Geniuses could flip heads against us. We have dropped a game to them already this split. I would really like, the win over Evil Geniuses, by the way, would guarantee us the 3 wins that are necessary for tiebreaker. So I would really like to see us do it. And then TL, like I said, I think there's a chance that they are going to still be pretty rusty, and there's a chance they could go 0-3 this weekend because roster changes do that sometimes, even if it is a player as great as Alfari is. So, yeah, is it likely? No. Is it possible we go 0-3? Yeah. Is it the end of the world? I'll put it this way. It's not ideal. At a minimum, we're 2 games out of first place. Or I should say at a maximum. Excuse me. At a maximum, we're 2 games out of first place. At a minimum, we're maybe tied if 100 Thieves, and like if 100 Thieves go 1-2, Cloud9 go 2-1, and Team Liquid go 2-1, then we're tied. I don't know. There's a lot of different possibilities, to be honest with you. And as any weekend, I'm not going to be like one of those people, there's anything could happen. I don't know. Like, I confidently in saying that I think we should 3-0. But I am mentally preparing, because I feel like that's what we have to do as TSM fans. I'm mentally preparing for them to go 0-3, because there is a very real possibility of that. So those are my thoughts on those games. I do have us a 3-0. I want to quickly do an overall for this one, even as I talked about at the beginning. I do think last week took pressure off. I think that we came to play. Sure, did the first 2 games look great? No, not really. Especially the Immortals game. We talked about that. The Dignitas game looked better, in my opinion. And then I think, we were just on our groove against Cloud9. I mean, it looked really good against Cloud9. I want us to carry that over every single week from here on out. There is no reason why we should not win every single game outside of maybe a Cloud9 or a TL or a 100 Thieves game. No reason why. Okay, and I know those are 3 teams, whatever. I'm not playing the cop-out. I'm just saying there are 18 games left in this season. We are bound to lose some of those games. And if we are going to lose some of those games, I would rather it be to teams that are actually good. Because it's frustrating when we lose to the bad teams. And if we're going to lose these games, I want it to be close. I want us to be right there. And I don't want to, carrying this over from Monday, I don't want us to play down to our competition. I want us to excel against our competition, no matter who it is. There is a world, an unlikely world, statistically, but a world where we went out and we go, what would that be? Sorry, let me check. It would be 37-8. Let me do some quick maths here for you, give you that win percentage. That is an 82% win rate, guys. That is pretty outstanding. That's unheard of. And it would cement us going into the summer as a absolutely horrifying team to play against. Nobody would want to. That's the kind of thing you want. You want it to get to a point where teams are afraid to play you, because guess what? That little mental edge can mean the difference in a close series. So I want to see us keep up the pressure. I don't want us to take our foot off the gas, even a little bit. I don't want it to be like week 2. where we come in, oh, well, we got 3 wins. We beat TL, Evil Geniuses. Things are looking pretty good for us, guys, Like, we're looking good. No. Screw that. Go right at every team. Keep up the momentum. You can take your breaks when you're at a point where you are, like, unlikely to lose first place. Like, I want to see us have a 4-game lead before we really take any breaks over the second place. At least a 3-game. 4-game would be great. At least a 3-game. Then we can let the pedal off the gas a little bit. They can mentally prepare themselves for playoffs and for Worlds. It's a long season. I get that. They need their breaks. But right now, we're only a game up. We have to push through. All right, guys. So I wasn't going to do this, but because honestly, so how do I put this? So I had gotten an email that there was going to be a press conference for TL. We were not allowed to like reveal that it was a press conference or anything, which is why you'll notice in the episode I talk about I'm not allowed to talk about something that I know is happening today. Well, they didn't give us the details of what was going to happen in this press conference. Normally they do. So I was doing this off of the assumption that Alfari was coming back. That's what I figured, especially with Ven. Again, I think I mentioned this in the podcast, but I recorded that earlier. I've since had a bunch of things to do. I haven't gotten to uploading it yet, but I figured maybe I should kind of talk about the TL section a little differently now, because in case if you didn't hear it, spoiler alert, although you can go over to the Game House and see, I wrote about it. Team Liquid announced a lot of things, none of which are Alfari coming back necessarily right now. Now, to start with the Alfari stuff, it does seem like Alfari will be back against us. This means that he will probably be especially rusty, considering he will not have played in 10 regular season games at that point. Okay? So nearly a little over 3 weeks, essentially, worth of game. So I do still think that he is going to be very rusty. And I wanted to, like I said, I really wanted to talk about this because I do think it adds to the TL part. I'm still going to keep my points because I still think my points are relatively the same to a certain degree. I do think that there are more weak points, though. If Alfari comes back on the 27th, which, by the way, they did say, the plan is still for him to come back on the 27th, but that might not happen. It's really going to just depend on if he's ready. Apparently, he's going through some really tough stuff. Obviously, that's terrible, and it's not fun for him. And it clearly was not fun for the team because they also announced that Jat has resigned, head coach Jat, and that extremely sadly, probably, well, depending on Alfari's situation, or maybe at least equally sadly, Santorin's having to step away as well due to health reasons. He's having terrible migraines that had kept him out of the playoff game against us in the finals against Cloud9, and they had Armeo step in. This changes things a lot for the TL game, in my mind, even with Alfari's triumphant comeback, should it be that day. And even if he has been playing with the team, things are very different on stage, as we know. Players talk about it all the time. And there's a couple things. I mean, Cold is going to be taking over as the who used to be known, I believe his nickname before was Trashy when he was over here in NA. But this will be his first time as a head coach. Armeo's subbing in for the first time this split. He's also had very bad issues with playing on stage in the past. He seemed to have rectified them during the spring playoffs last split, but you never know. Maybe it's this stage in particular that gives him the heebie-jeebies. I don't know. And then, should Alfari come back, I do think that TSM are going to want to still focus that, as I said. But also, if not, then Jenkins is still in there. And it's not that Jenkins has been bad, but having Santorin there I had to have helped at least a little bit. So now the onus is going to be on Santorin and Core JJ
and tactical. And as a TSM fan, I truly think that this is a game where we can test a little bit and that we can take advantage of these situations. I obviously am not saying, I hope it's very clear. I feel terrible about the whole situation for TL as a person and even as a TSM fan opposed to TL. I do feel like the personal aspects of it I think are horrible. It sounds like the Alfari stuff is pretty bad, and then the Santorin migraines are bad. Clearly, Jat's situation is not ideal, depending on what happened. They would not reveal that either. But as TSM, like, this is an opportunity to take advantage of a team that's very good, or was. I don't really know anymore, especially what the team looks like with Jenkins, Armeo, instead of Santorin and Alfari. They clearly are not as good. I think that'll be very plainly obvious that we will see tomorrow and Saturday. And even if Alfari comes back, it's going to take him time. So, I'm still keeping my 3-0 prediction. I still think we were going to beat them anyways. But, with a new head coach and all these other things going on, I do think that plays into the way that TSM are going to, approach this game. TL are likely going to play a very standard style. I don't anticipate they're going to bring out anything crazy. I know that Cold has been there, from the start, with Jat, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be ready to make all the calls. Jat was somebody who was kind of like a draft, he really understood the team and understood the draft. We'll have to see what Cold's style is. But I really truly anticipate that we're going to be looking at a team that is going to be missing a lot of what has made them strong, and maybe standard, is good for them. We talk about how boring sometimes TL can be, but like they're going to play for late game. They're going to play a very standard composition, something that they can play. I'm sure it's going to be like front to back team fighting. And if that's the case, like TSM need to prepare for that. I would love an ultra dive comp at this point. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Give me LeBlanc. Give me a Diana. Give me an Akali if by some miracle we've been practicing it. Give me a Lee Sin. Even at this point, I would take a Tristana or a Kaisa. Just whatever it is. Just I would like to see. If they if they pull the CLG special and they just bring out the Vi and everything to just run at whoever it is. Take out the carries and then deal with the rest of it later. Yeah, so like I said, I really quickly wanted to get these additional thoughts in there on the TL game. This part will sound a little bit different because I got to find out where I'm going to put it, which will also mean that the episode is coming out a little bit later than I intended to. But I just finished up the press conference, figured this was worth talking about. I hope you guys like it and understand, and I guess now we'll go back to the regularly scheduled episode.
Yeah. All right. Quickly, Academy and amateur updates. Academy's looking a little bit better. They are currently in the playoffs. They are top 6 after a 2-0 last week on Thursday. Obviously, the show comes out on Thursdays. I don't know the results before then, but we did 2-0 Dignitas Academy. Then we tied with Evil Geniuses Academy again last night. Evil Geniuses Academy have drawn 6 games, 6 series so far this year. They haven't dropped one, which is good for them. But yeah, they've been not great. I'm noticing that the NA Academy teams are like pretty top heavy right now. You got 12-2 100 Thieves Academy. That team, God, there are players on that team. Oh man, like just go and look at some of them. Like Kenvi, I think Poom looks a lot better than the last time we saw him. Tenacity up in the top lane, like oh boy, that team is gonna be really good wherever those players go, which they are gonna go somewhere next split. I can almost guarantee you that most of those players on Academy will not still be there. They will at least get their chance with some team. Do I know who it's going to be yet? Nope. I have guesses. I'll do that some other time. Team Liquid Academy are also looking pretty strong right now. They brought in Dokla, which some people were like, well, that means that there's no way Alfari's coming back. I still believe he's coming back. It could have been a huge bait, by the way. There is a chance that he gets traded to an EU team. There is a chance. I don't think it's likely this late, which it is late into the season, or he gets traded somewhere else. God forbid somebody's like, oh yeah, he might get traded to. Maybe they should consider, TSM. I think it was the guy was like, well, you could have maybe considered TSM. I'm like, no. TSM's proud of the fact that they're sticking with their roster. You can see they're playing well. If they were to freaking go off a 3-0 weekend where Hooney almost solo carried the team and bring in Alfari, as good as Alfari is, and as much as I'd be like, yay, to a certain degree, I would be livid, especially for Hooney. God, that would, just the thought of it makes me shake. Anyways, Yon is looking really good for Team Liquid. You got Cloud9 and FlyQuest Academies that are looking pretty good, honestly. They've got some young players. Sadly, King is having to play yet again down on Academy. Yeah, it's tough for him. That he might have lost his only chance in terms of playing for like a top team. He's kind of on the older side for an Academy player. He's like 23. So I think he will play for another team next split for sure. I don't know who, but I do think somebody will pick him up. Probably one of the lower teams. Golden Guardians was my guess for him. But yeah, FlyQuest Academy are also looking good. NXI, Kumo's looked fine. Tomo is, I think, super solid. Triple is looked better. And then you got us and EG Academy who can't seemingly win series. So it's pretty top heavy. Those 4 teams I think look really good. I know EG's only a game behind them, but they can't seem to pull out these crucial victories that they need. So, and then you got Dignitas and CLG Academy. I mean, dude, CLG, it's just like whoever is putting those teams together, call me. I'll help you. Like, what are you guys doing? If your team is going to be a bunch of vets, why do you have some of the players that you have? They made changes. Most of them are younger-ish. But it's like, I don't know what you guys are doing. I don't know. Either way. Whatever. I digress. Amateur is yet again on the brink of finally making it past a what would this be called? A round robin, I guess is what you would call it. Top 12 teams. Wait, is it top 12 teams make it in? No, top 8 teams, excuse me, make it into the to the playoffs for where they are currently at. They were able to pull off a really big win, honestly, on Tuesday. They 2-0'd Ping is the Problem. They had, lost 0-2 to Resolve NA. So they've got a big 2-game series against, well, I think it's technically a 3-game series, but whatever. It's 3-game series. So they got a pretty big 3-game series against Evil Geniuses Prodigies. They've looked really strong. They have some pretty good players, to say the least. Tomio specifically, Shoryu, I think, was probably supposed to be up where Danny's at, but I think there was like some visa issues or something, so he had to play on Prodigies instead. At least that's what they claim. It doesn't really make sense to me, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, if our amateur team wants to get points towards this ultimate thing, they got to win against Evil Geniuses Prodigies. I don't care if it's 2-1 or if it's 2-0, but they got to win. If they win, there's still a chance they don't make it, as bad as that is. I don't know exactly how that would work out. Yeah, there's still a chance they don't. I mean, Resolve would have to lose to Ping is the Problem. Ugh. Wow. It would be like we'd have to 2-0 Evil Geniuses Prodigies, and then I think that Yeah, if we 2-0'd them, then I think we'd have the tiebreaker over them. I don't know. It's not looking good, though. That's all I can say. It's not looking good. Ping is the problem kind of needs to beat Resolve NA for us to win, which doesn't seem likely. They have not looked very good. So, might be another disappointing thing for our amateur team, which is, disappointing. So, either way, you know, at least they're getting, you know, their chances. They're learning, hopefully. There's a lot of stuff going on, but you know, hopefully they can learn from it and just become a better squad overall. So, yeah, that's it for this week. If you like the show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment if you're watching on the YouTube channel. On the YouTubes, you've been watching on the YouTubes, on our YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss another episode. Yeah, keep supporting this as the as the TSM podcast, at least the TSM LCS podcast on all podcasting platforms. Leaving a review definitely helps, guys. I would really, really, really appreciate that. Please share this with your friends. You can find us on Twitter at TGH Robert Haynes or at TGH Esports. As a reminder, we are still doing the giveaway till the end of the month. Go get it, guys. Go get that TSM jersey, okay? You can find it literally pinned on our Twitter account. So do it. Just keep penning to the Game House as well. We obviously appreciate the support. I'll have my power rankings coming out today. I'll probably try to do something for TSM tomorrow if I can. Gonna try to do more of that. I really am trying to write more about TSM. It's just been busy this week, especially. Holy crap. So many announcements. If you haven't seen, there's a new champion coming out that looks pretty cool. His name's Action. If you haven't been looking at the Ruination and all the other stuff that's coming with, I think what's going to be ultimately a pretty cool cinematic. The TSM, or not TSM, the League of Legends team is really telling, I think, an interesting story right now. Sure, maybe those of you who have seen it for multiple different things, whatever. I think for at least the League of Legends universe, this is really cool. So you should definitely check it out. Otherwise, with that, thanks for tuning in. This show comes out every Monday and Thursday, and it's still exclusively for your TSM earholes. I'm Robert Haynes, and this has been Talking TSM. See y'all next week.